What's up, VC? Bobby B here. Liner notes. Doing another vinyl video. It's been a minute. It's been a little while. I told you though I probably wouldn't be back till August, and it's August. According to the hairs on my shoulder, it's August. I don't know why I did that. Who does that? It's like, first of all, I wasn't giving you the time. I was giving you the month, and so even if I was wearing a watch, it might have the month on it. Anyway, Bobby. How you doing? I'm taping this, or I'm recording this on my iPad as opposed to my iPhone, because I don't think there's enough room on my iPhone, and this has the potential to be lengthy. So I'm doing it on my iPad, which first of all, I don't think the quality is quite as good, so I apologize for that if that's true. But then also, it's like the camera's here, so I wanna just look in the camera and talk to you. Hey, how you doing? But I can't stop looking at myself, and I can't stop. Like I'm trying to be conscious of it, but I'm still. Anyways, this video is definitely going to be long if I talk about things like that. So, how have you guys been? I've been good. I've talked to a couple of you, but not many, and I've made promises of videos that I'll probably never do. But anyways, this is just a strict spins and finds and whatever video, as mine usually are. And I hope you enjoy it. I've got 8 million records to show you. I've bought a ton over the last few months. Haven't had a ton of time to listen to them, but I have listened to all of these. So anyways, I'll just show you what I've got. It's totally random. There's no rhyme or reason to any of this, and it covers all kinds of different types of music. So I hope you find something in here that you enjoy. Also, as usual, my videos are unfiltered, unprepared, so hopefully I say something interesting about these records. Chances are I won't. But anyways, it's hot here in Toronto too, by the way. So here's one of the ones I picked up, a little Alice Coltrane, if you will. Journey in Satchidananda, featuring the mighty Pharoah Sanders. This is some spiritual jazz. Most of you know this. This is an amazing, amazing, amazing record. I love this thing. I'm a big Pharoah Sanders fan. I'm an Alice Coltrane fan too, but I'm kind of newer to her material. Charlie Hayden plays bass on this too. Anyways, this is some good stuff. I really enjoyed this. This unfortunately is just a repressing on Impulse, modern day. I don't know when this came out, but I imagine a few years ago. But boy, that glare is unfortunate, eh? Anyways, so I picked that record up a little while ago. Thoroughly enjoy it. Not too much I need to say about that. Alice Coltrane, Journey in Satchidananda. Here's some more jazz. Ornette Coleman's Twins. This here came out in 1971, I believe. And all original compositions by Ornette Coleman. Don Cherry on trumpet, Charlie Hayden on bass, Ed Blackwell on drums, and many others. This is an American pressing on Atlantic. I forget where I found this. I forget where I bought most of these records. Some of these were freebies from work, and others were just whatever. This is on the green and orange Atlantic. And this one is, if I remember correctly, I think this one's a little bit freer, kind of free jazz. Don't quote me on that. It's been a few months since I've listened to it, so I can't remember, but it's pretty good. Yeah, I think it is. I think it is kind of free jazz. That first song, I remember it being pretty awesome. First Take, which is a 17-minuter, but that's some good stuff. And again, sort of in the same category, this is jazz fusion by a band called Contraband. The album is called Time and Space. This is the only album they ever recorded, and it's definitely a product of the time. I think it came out probably 1970-ish. I would say mid-70s. I could be wrong. This one reeled me in. When I saw this, I remember where I got this. I got this at Cops Records in their kind of value vintage section. And so that usually means that the record is a little bit less than what it's worth because it's not in the greatest shape. There's a bit of surface noise on this, but it isn't in bad shape at all. It's on Yellow Epic. And and it's an American pressing. And this one knew how to reel me in when I looked at the... First of all, I think somebody showed this on their channel. Dana, did you show this? Anyway, somebody showed this on their channel, and it intrigued me. And I remember thinking to myself, self, that is intriguing. So I picked this up, and on the back here it says, it's hard to tell you what this music is like because it isn't like anything. What's in it is a little easier to talk about. Frank Zappa, John Cage, Miles Davis, Pink Floyd, Ornette Coleman, Karl-Heinz Stockhausen, and Larry Corwell, and King Crimson, and Charles Lloyd. So if you're going to compare something to all of this, then, you know, a sucker like me is going to buy it. So I really enjoyed this. I thought this was really cool. Progressive jazz, fusion, just some really good stuff on the Epic label. At Value Village, I found this, which is a product of my my teen years. Colin James's self-titled debut. It's the type of thing where I wasn't sure if I'd still enjoy listening to this. This is blues. This is straight blues, pop kind of thing. This guy's Canadian. This is on the Virgin label. And, yeah, and he's, you know, he's gone on to do some big band stuff. He's still doing things, but he's not near as popular around here as he was when he first came out. I don't know if he had much success outside of Canada. I don't think so. But I remember really liking this album at the time, but I haven't listened to it. A couple of the songs, I hadn't listened to it for a long time. A couple of the songs are still played on Canadian radio, depending on what station you listen to. But, you know, I don't pay a lot of attention to them, but I saw this in the bargain bin for a couple bucks. I said, yeah, I'll get it. Not the bargain bin, but at the thrift store for a couple bucks. I said, sure, I'll get it. And it holds up. It's quite good. Yeah, especially the song, Why'd You Lie? That song is, that song's pretty cool. I dig it. I dig it. So, Colin James. Little can-con for ya. Little canny-conny. Here is a punk rock record by X. But not that X, not the Los Angeles X. This is a band from Australia, I believe. Yeah, Melbourne, Australia. And so, I don't know, like it says here, Experts, the 1977 recording. So I don't know if they changed their name to Experts so as to not get mixed up with the other band X, the John Doe, Xene Kravenka band. Or if this album's called Expert, I don't know. But anyways, this is a reissue on Ugly Pop Records, and it's a pretty awesome one. It's on, I think it's on red vinyl or orange vinyl. Yeah, look at that. That's pretty nice. Again, this was in a bargain bin. It was pretty cheap, so I picked it up. Actually, I think, if I remember correctly, I think I picked it up because I just assumed it was the John Doe X band, and then when it wasn't, I was like angry. But now I'm not angry anymore because it's really good. Punk rock. Just some good old punk rock. This one's actually reminding me of another record that I think, I'm not sure if it's in the pile. Let me just check. Whoa, sorry for the butt shot there. Yeah, I wanted to show this because this is important. This is a good one. Ugh. Ugh. Arthritis in the knee. Not really, but I did get a funky knee thing happen to me recently that made me think it was arthritis, and then I thought maybe it was gout, but it wasn't either. It's runner's knee, and I don't run, so that's ironic, don't you think? This here, Bent Wind. This is cool. This is a reissue. This is some 60s psych music. This is also on the Ugly Pop label. And this was a psych band out of Toronto that couldn't get arrested back in the 60s. They released a single, tried to bring it to the local radio station, Chum FM. They said, no, we can't play that. So then they recorded this album in a few days. Same thing. Chum FM said, no, you guys you're a non-union band. We can't play you. And so they used a bunch of their records as frisbees and sold a few of them, but basically the band just kind of broke up and didn't bother doing anything else. Years later, as so happens, the band was discovered again by others, and this album, if you can find an original, it fetches a pretty penny, and rightfully so, because it is awesome. It is garage psych rock of that can't be beat. So this is, but this is a reissue, and it sounds as good as can be expected for something that was recorded so shoddily at the time. But boy, am I glad to get this. So, Bent Wind is the name of the band. The album is called Sussex. They were living on Sussex Avenue here in Toronto. It was kind of like this communal house full of hippies and freaks and all kinds of things in the 60s, and bands, and they lived there as well. So that's where they recorded this thing. An amazing record. Great record. Great record. The Weather Prophets. The Weather Prophets were a band in the early 80s that had a connection to Creation Records. Creation founder, whose name eludes me at the moment, was their, I think, their bassist for a bit, but by the time they released a full length, he was gone. But anyways, I bought a couple albums by them for a good price. This is, it's, jangle pop. This is called Judges, Juries, and Horsemen. And it's an awesome kind of jangle pop, college rock record. I don't know if I need to show you the... There you go, Weather Prophets. So that's cool. Also, got this other one here. This is another album by them, Mayflower. And it's also a pretty great album. Not as good as that one. And this came out in 1987 on Warner. People were really excited to hear it. But it didn't end up, critically, people were underwhelmed by it. Especially since they loved the single so much. But, anyways, so that's that. The Weather Prophets, Mayflower. Good album. Where were the Weather Prophets from? I don't think they were American, were they? They were probably from England. Anyways, look it up. If you're that interested, look it up. Here's another local band, Day, Month, Year. DD/MM/YYYY. Day, Month, Year. This record is called Black Square. They're a math rock, post-rock, kind of angular type of band. They came out. They broke up a few years ago. They came out a few years ago and broke up a few years ago. But this thing is awesome. If you like your music a little bit challenging, this one is a bit challenging. But if you're in the mood for it, it's amazing. And this is the custom center labels. I don't know how to show you this. The lights are whatever. Here, maybe this side work better? Of course it won't. But oh, there you go. I don't know what that is. Anyway, Day, Month, Year. Another great band. This is one of those. This is turning into one of those annoying videos where it's just kind of like, here, let me show you this, and let me show you this, and let me show you this, let me show you this. But anyways, these are bands you should look into, and I tried to describe them, and if you like the description, you should check them out. Day, Month, Year. Math rock, post-rock, angular, adventurous indie rock. Klaus Schulze, Dune. This is an import from Germany on the Brain label. This was a record that I didn't have by him. Klaus Schulze is hit and miss for me, but this is one of the good ones on the cool Brain label. Klaus Schulze doesn't need any introduction. He's someone that you'll dig. And some real good krautrock. This one has what's his face, Arthur Brown, kind of chanting in one of the songs, which kind of gives it a bit of a psychedelic edge to it, which is kind of neat. I hear my phone doodle dinking. Let me just take a. Sorry for the bum shot. All right. Okay. Anyways, wasn't important. Okay, so this is neat. This is some Northern Soul by The Vibrations. Taking a New Step. Or Southern Soul, sorry. Not that I really know what the difference is, but anyways, this is some Southern Soul. And these guys, they released a few novelty hits as another band. I forget what the name was. They had a couple other names. First they were called the Jayhawks. Released a few songs. Then they changed their name to something else. released a couple novelty hits, and then they became the Vibrations, and they had a few songs that were kind of underground successes. They broke up, and the one guy, I think it's Richard Owens, he went on to join the Temptations for a short time. Then they went back and released this album, taking a new step. The first song, Wind Up Toy, is kind of a classic in the Northern Soul community. I think I was right the first time, Northern Soul. This is a promo. This is a white label promo on A&M. See how the label is white? And it says promo copy, not for sale. It sounds amazing. I just found this one. This is a freebie I got at work, and I really like it. It fluctuates. There's some funky stuff. There's some soulful stuff, but it jumps around quite a bit. But yeah, that's I like that album a lot. Vibrations. Here's a psych rock classic that I found for a good price. Country Joe and the Fish, with electric music for the mind and body. And this is a stereo pressing, but it is an original on Vanguard, original Canadian pressing, I think Canadian pressing. No, it's American, original Canadian pressing on Vanguard. And yeah, there's a bit of surface noise on it, which is to be expected for the price that I got it, but it's a good one. So, Country Joe and the Fish. One of the classic psych rock albums, right there. Another kind of garage rock album that I got, classic garage rock album that I found, is this Frigid Pink, self-titled. This is another one that's actually I like this one a lot. This one rocks. This is kind of heavy psych. Again, this one's well worn, although the record itself ain't in bad shape. It's on Parrot. Canadian. Or American. This is American. I'm doing that a lot today. It's because I just naturally assume my records are Canadian, and then I realize, no, they're not. They're American. 5 American, 6 Canadian. 5 American, 6 Canadian. 5 American, 6 Canadian. 5. That song will be referenced again later. Stay tuned. Where are we here? 17 minutes? Oh, but okay. Here's some nouveau psych. Actually, not that new. This album came out in 2012, I believe. 2012. On the Beyond Beyond is Beyond label, which is an American label that is awesome for psych rock. This here is the band Kikagaku Moyo. And this is an EP they released a few years back. It's gone through a few runs already and sold out. So they re-released it again this year on some really cool bone and black swirl vinyl, they call it, which, look at that, eh? Ooh, baby. 45 RPMs, so it sounds amazing, and that's a cool looking record. That's the kind of thing that James Griffiths would take a bite out of, I guarantee it, because he likes eating records that are pretty. Or scary looking. That one's not pretty, it's more scary. But anyways, looks tasty, and there you go. This is some space rock, psych rock. As it says, turn it up till birds show up. This is awesome. Awesome if you like that kind of trippy, psychedelic, space rock kind of groove. My favorite record of the year, I picked up the latest by Broken Social Scene. After a long hiatus, they're back. Well, all 17 members are back. And this is their latest release. It is called Hug of Thunder. And it is outstanding. It's a double record. It's got the lyrics in a booklet form. And I like all their stuff, but and there's some neat artwork too. I like all their stuff, but You Forgot It in People, as you know, is one of my favorite albums of all time. Their other albums are all good. To expect them to reach the heights of that perfect album is unlikely, but this comes close. It is really, really good. So, Broken Social Scene, indie rock, but a lot of variety, which is to be expected when you got 17 members all contributing their talents. This is a must-have. My favorite record of the year so far. Hug of Thunder by Broken Social Scene. I was perturbed that I didn't pick this up back when it first came out. Atoms for Peace, Amok, that's Tom York's side project with a few others. Flea, Joey Waronker, or Waronker, Mauro Rafosco, Nigel Godrich. So when this first came out, it was a triple gatefold, embossed cover, 45 RPM behemoth. It was rather pricey, so I hummed and hawed about it, never got it, and of course it sold out. Well, I found a used copy recently for a pretty decent price, so I bought it. And oh baby doll, it is an amazing record. It holds up. It sounds good. I like it as much as almost any Radiohead record, to be honest. Yeah, maybe slightly more electronic, but even that, no, you know what? It doesn't sound like Radiohead, but it kind of does. But I like it as much as any Radiohead album. Like, not any Radiohead album, but you know what I mean. Like, but I'm glad to finally get a copy of that. This isn't new. I've had this for a while, but it's in this pile anyways. But I'll show it to you. McKenna Mendelssohn Mainline. The album is called Stink. This is a Toronto blues band from the 60s. This album was recorded in 1969. It features Joe Mendelssohn, who had a few cheesy hits in the 80s, and Mike McKenna, along with others. It's just straight blues rock from the 60s. It sounds amazing. It's a classic as far as I'm concerned. One of the greatest Toronto albums of all time, I would say. Not too hard to find, but a real great album. I gave that a spin recently. Got another promo copy here of King Curtis, Instant Groove. And as you can see, it's very much a promo copy. And well used, but the cover's not in great shape, but the record is in pretty good shape, to be honest. Sounds good. I don't remember where I got this, but it's a white label promo on Atco. Funk, soul, groovy, amazing. If you like King Curtis, you'll like that. Here's a psych classic, The Incredible String Band, The Hangman's Beautiful Daughter. I picked this up. This is an original Canadian pressing. Or no, American. An original American pressing. On Elektra. Sorry. You see that? There you go. On Elektra, Deep Groove. The killer cut on here is a very cellular song. 12 minutes and 55 seconds of absolute bliss. So that's some good folk psych. From what I understand, this here is the back cover in the UK. It's the front cover here in Canada or America. I picked this up, Copper Penny. This is their, I think, their third album, Sitting on a Poor Man's Throne. This is some 70s CanCon. This record is long out of print. It's just some good old classic rock. Nothing we haven't heard before. There's a couple funkier tracks on it and whatever, but it is kind of hard to find. But it's good. It's just some straight ahead sort of rock music. It's on the Sweet Plum label. I think some of their stuff in the, let's see, is this going to work? Anyways, whatever. I think some of their stuff in the, on their first couple albums, or their first album or whatever, was a little bit psychy. But there's no psych on this. This is more kind of boogie-woogie, classic rock, groovy stuff. Dig it, yo. Here's some cool stuff. The Peddlers, 3 in a Cell. This here is 60s. I don't want to say psych. It's got some psych overtones to it, but it's more kind of jazz lounge type of music. A lot of Hammond organ on there, so if you like that sound, there's a lot of that on here. This is a it's on Epic. It's a later repress. Not sure when it came out, but I took a chance on this because it was like $5 or $6, and I'm glad I did because it's amazing. Coming Home Baby has some real cool, has this scat moment in the middle of it that'll get the juices flowing. You know what I'm saying? It's pretty sweet. So that is the Peddlers 3 in a Cell. We've got Jan Ackerman's Profile. This is some prog. Jan Ackerman was in the band Focus. This was his first solo album shortly after Hocus Pocus became such a big hit. This is very guitar-based, guitar fusion, instrumental, proggy kind of stuff. Got this in a thrift store. It is an original on Sire Records. Is this Canadian or American? Anyways, I think it's American. Original American pressing. Jan Ackerman. And while we're talking about Focus, I got Focus's third album here. Focus 3. And on Polydor, it's a gatefold. More terrific prog. Underrated. This is a UK press, actually, on Polydor. Sounds great. It's in very good shape. VG Plus. Some more prog with Grobschnitt. I finally ceased becoming a, an embarrassment to the prog rock community by not owning any Grobschnitt. Now I got some, and it's some good stuff. It's exactly what it looks like. Sounds a lot, Yes is a good comparison. This album cover wasn't designed by Roger Dean, but it looks like it was. Yeah, very, very proggy. Got a couple of Sun Ra reissues, and I've heard bad things about these reissues, but they sounded fine to me. Sun Ra, the Nubians of Plutonia, and also Sun Ra and his orchestra with Jazz in Silhouette. Both really good albums. Free jazz, but not as free as he became later on. This is pretty straightforward stuff, but really like that. I scored myself a in a thrift shop. No, actually, I think I got this from work. The soundtrack to Shaft, Isaac Hayes, really good shape, double record. Everybody knows this one. It's perfect. It's a perfect record, So I was glad to finally get that. Here's some more classic psych, acoustic psych folk. Dr. Strangely Strange, Kip of the Serenes is the name of this album. This is a repress. I think this might be sort of an unofficial repress. It's on a label called Timeless. I'm not sure what that means. But this was reissued in 1986. Yeah, 500 copy, limited pressing reissue, made in Europe. The album was released originally in 1969. It's kind of like UK's answer to the Incredible String Band. It's pretty good. I liked it. Got another psych reissue of an album that I've wanted for a long time. I'd love an original, but it's too expensive. The album's called Nucleus. Canadian band. They're from Toronto. They're from the Toronto area, I think, but this is a reissue. But another great album. A reissue on Mainstream. Heavy vinyl. This reissue sounds really good. I like this one a lot. This one sounds good to me. Psych rock. And one of my favorite psych rock albums ever. Like, it's, I always say that, but I really like this one. Jenny Wake Up, All About Me and the Spidery Bass. It's bass, but, got that. This one here is not hard to find. Everybody has this. Klaatu. Canadian band. People thought that they were the Beatles. This is kind of progressive, though. People thought they were the Beatles posing as another band, even though this sounds nothing like the Beatles. Calling Occupants of Interplanetary Craft. Of course, I was familiar with that song, and I liked it okay, but I wasn't eager to get the album because of it. And, boy, that was a mistake, because it's a great album. This is an original Canadian pressing. Wow, why is that not working at all? Like, anyways, this is a nice, there we go, boom, see it? Yellow. It was all yellow. I apologize for incorporating some Coldplay into this discussion. That was not my intention. A couple of Peel sessions, the Screaming Blue Messiahs, the Peel sessions. For them, this was recorded, this is 1986, this was recorded in 1984. I always try to get Peel sessions if I find them, if they interest me. They had a hit with I Want to Be a Flintstone, but they had other great songs before that. Very simple, guitar, bass, and drums. Really cool. And I also got the Peel sessions for that Petrol Emotion, another indie alternative, 80s alternative band. This was from 1985. Really good stuff. All right, we're almost through it. I don't know why I bought this. This isn't that good. This is a Sgt. Pepper Knew My Father. It's, first of all, it's a radio promo copy. It's, the cover's in bad shape, the record's in bad shape. It's got some terrible versions of songs from the Sgt. Pepper's album, but there are a couple of exceptions. The Wedding Present doing Getting Better is pretty good. Sonic Youth doing Within You, Without You is pretty good. The Courtney Pine Quartet, When I'm 64, that's aight. The Fall doing A Day in the Life is pretty good. Yeah, Wet, Wet, Wet doing With a Little Help from My Friends is absolutely terrible. Frank Sidebottom doing Benefit of Mr. Kite. I don't know what the heck's going on there. Yeah, Curiosity more than anything. I don't know if I'm going to keep that one, but it's in terrible shape, so it's not like anybody's going to be able to, it's not like I'm going to be able to sell it or anything. Terrible. All right, let's whip through these. Paul Revere and the Raiders. Here they come. Everybody knows how much I like these guys. I think they're greatly underrated. This was actually a sealed original Canadian copy pressing, and so it had never been played before, but I played it, and it's great. 2i, Columbia. And I love this album. Just some great 60s pop by Paul Revere and the Raiders. We all know him. We all love him. I don't think he follows me, though, but hey, Naz Nomad, check that out. Naz Nomad and the Nightmares. This is a live album. It's a fake soundtrack to a fake movie called Give Daddy the Knife, Cindy. This is a British UK pressing. This is The Damned posing as a garage band, and it's good. So, yeah, so I found that again for a really nice price. Big Beat Records. It was a fun listen. Nothing to write home about, but still pretty good. We're whipping through these. We've got the Tremolos, Suddenly, You Love Me, 60s pop music. Not as psych as that cover would lead you to believe. This is more kind of 60s pop music. But, and you know, you look at these guys, they look a little like the Osmonds or something, eh? By the way, I stumbled on YouTube, I stumbled across Donnie and Marie Osmond covering Reelin' in the Years. Look that up. It'll make for a good contest. It's about a 7-minute video. If you can get through the whole thing, whatever, you win a prize, because it's challenging. Donnie and Marie covering Reelin' in the Years. It's brutal in the best way. Yellow Epic, Tremolos, Suddenly You Love Me. Byrds, best album, Fifth Dimension, or my favorite album by the Byrds, Fifth Dimension. It's got 8 Miles High. It's certainly their most psyche. Classic. This is original Canadian, I think. Columbia 2i. It's an okay shape. It's in VG. I would say VG shape. Little bit of surface noise, but this has a lot of surface noise. Crimson and Clover, Tommy James and the Shondells. Another great psych album. I like Tommy James and the Shondells. I got a weakness for 60s pop music. We all know how much I like 60s psych music, so that's a good one. On Roulette. It's an original, but this one is, you know, there's a lot of surface noise on this bad boy. But, there you go. Crimson and Clover, over and over. Actually, it goes, Crimson and Clover, and this is the last one I'll show you. We're at 34 minutes, longest video I've ever done. Watch it in parts. I won't have another video up for another 10 years, so. But great Canadian band, Shadowy Men on a Shadowy Planet, Dim the Lights, Chill the Ham. This is surf rock from the 80s, but this is authentic stuff. And they did the theme song for Kids in the Hall, if you've ever watched that show. That's not on here, but this is amazing. There's very few lyrics on this. It's a mostly instrumental album. There's a song called Five American, Six Canadian, which is the song I was singing along to earlier. This album was recently reissued, but this is an original pressing and still in the shrink. There's a little liner note sheet, and this is the custom